hundreds of years, cadets had been given the freedom to choose their future profession. Revoking that liberty would cause resentment in the ranks, while also officially acknowledging the Emperor's own impotence. Second, Jorg Royal Inoki Tunmezfel was of the opinion that officers forced into service at the barrel of a gun would not be much use. Furthermore, students at the Nessie Academy were not destined to become easily replaceable low-level rank and file. They were graduates of the best space military academy in the Empire, effectively prepared to serve as staff officers, navigators, and captains from the day they graduated. They had been trained to occupy those very positions and given all necessary skills. What would then be the price of their loyalty in a serious crisis? Would they not jump at the first convenient chance to join an enemy that could offer them better conditions? Sure, there were no obvious enemies like that now, but who could guarantee one wouldn't show up? Jorg I was fully aware that he was now far from a young man, and despite all the advancements of medicine and truth-seeker support, his rule would one day come to an end. Perhaps not now, but in 10, 20, or even 50 years, it was an inevitability. Would the now silent pretenders from rich and influential aristocratic clans come out of the woodwork after Jorg jumped past them in line to the throne 8 years earlier? When Crown Prince Jorg Royal Inoki Tunmezfel captured the throne world, he was just 12th in line to the throne. But he was a highly respected fleet commander backed by an armada of 60,000 combat starships and a reputation as vanquisher of the aliens and savior of humanity. And that was so indisputable that all possible foes and other claimants chose to bow before him and fade into obsequious smiles. Even his sister, Crown Princess Violetta Royal Inoki Tunmezfel, whose coronation he had violently interrupted, snatching the imperial crown away from her just an hour before the ceremony, was now the image of friendliness and loyalty. Furthermore, after seizing power, something else had happened to play into the upstart Crown Prince's hand. A sudden and unexpected universal update to the implant system, which was what the Empire scientists called the strange shift in the algorithms defining the relationships between people, factions, and governments that took place after the dust had settled. All previous achievements disappeared, and the relationship system everyone was accustomed to was replaced with a new one of professions, skills, levels, and statistics. Jorg I was assigned the profession of strategist and status of Kung, the highest of all imperial citizens, which officially reinforced his status as ruler and did away with many questions. The remaining househeads, political leaders, and well-known state actors were given more modest statuses and for a time completely backed out of the fight, instead trying to adapt to the new conditions and live by the new rules. The first few years were tough. Several factions were unable to avoid bitter conflicts, and even the forceful elimination of competitors with higher status. But all that had been left in the past, and Jorg I no longer doubted that all of the aristocrats whose rights he had trampled on had not simply forgotten their grievances and forgiven him. Who would take his place if disaster struck? His wife, Empress Astra Royal Vierde? That wasn't even a good joke. The White Queen was adored by the people of the Empire, including humans and members of other spacefaring races, but she was utterly unsuited to the role of serious independent politician. The 27-year-old beauty lived in her own little world of no worries, concerns, or dangers. Founding an academy or judging a poetry contest on a distant planet were much more important in the Empress's system of values than ruling over a huge government. And the fact that planetary forces or space fleets needed to be commanded or given orders was most likely something Empress Astra didn't even suspect. "And my sister has no need to fill her head with such questions." The truth-seeker confirmed she could still read her master's thoughts and worries with ease. "That's why you have administrators and military men. They are absolutely loyal to your Imperial Majesty and will support whichever heir my Emperor selects. Furthermore, your Imperial Majesty has the Swarm, 1.5 trillion intelligent insects who are totally incorruptible and will fight on your side and that of your chosen heiress. And it will most likely be an heiress, because my Emperor has 3 adult daughters of marriageable age. The Crown Princesses Likana, Joan, and Natalie are clearly at the front of the line of succession, and the eldest among them, Likana, is the leading candidate for the throne according to imperial law." All that was true, but not the whole truth. Yes, Jorg's 3 eldest daughters had grown up and become independent figures, but they had yet